Aloha, and welcome back to Emergence. Today we're going to be discussing one of my favorite subjects, flowers, and the healing power of flowers, herbs, and trees using flower essences and aromatherapy. Today our first guest is Ken Carlson, the author of Star Mana, which is a book about his journey creating flower essences. So we'd like to welcome Ken. Aloha, Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Good. So we'd love to know a little bit about what got you involved in creating flower essences in the first place.
Okay. I've been taking flower essences for over 30 years, and well, more than that even, embarrassing to say. And I moved to Kauai about 22 years ago, and after a number of years here, started producing and selling flower essences on Kauai and internationally.
Well, what were you taking flower essences for?
Basically surviving in the world. You know, flower essences proved to be very helpful, helping me balance my life at that time and make it work.
Well, okay, speaking of work, how do flower essences work? What do they do when we take them?
Well, it's a difficult thing to describe scientifically, but flower essences have an effect on a person's energy, on a person's electromagnetic systems, and each flower has its own qualities, and so each different flower essence will have a different effect on a person. So it's hard to say to link them all in one big basket, because there are some flower essences that are just simply for helping a person relax and feel less anxiety and less stress. Yet there are other flower essences that really are specifically for different psychological dysfunctions and patterns that we've picked up in our life, and then there are flower essences for different states of spiritual consciousness and awareness, and so there's a real wide range of what they do, and so there's a wide range of why people take them.
So they're working on the electromagnetic field.
Yes.
And increasing the vibratory rate of a person if they're out of balance.
I wouldn't say increasing, I would say just balancing, refining, fine-tuning.
So what made you decide to start creating them yourself?
Well, it seems so obvious that it's silly almost to answer it, but Kauai probably is the greatest place to produce flower essences of anywhere that I've ever been on the planet. The flowers here have almost a 12-month season that they grow. They are assisted with the sun, the rain, our incredible atmosphere here to really let themselves go in their fullest abundance and just hang out. And there aren't that many places in the world that flower essences are made where that's the case.
Because it's so clean and pure here?
It's so clean, but it's the garden island. And flowers just happen to grow so naturally, beautifully here.
So now why are we using the energy of the flower? What does the flower have different than the rest of the plant?
Well, the flower is the highest level of creation within the plant. The whole purpose from the plant's perspective would be flowering, even though people use plants for the organic qualities of the leaves and stems and whatever, and although we distill them as well, these are being used for really the subtle effects that is the culmination of the purpose of that plant from a flower essence practitioner's perspective.
My awareness is that the flowers they only have one purpose. They do exactly what the divine created them to do, where people have more choices. So instead of maybe just functioning on one level, we can choose different choices, whether they're good or bad for us. And the flower only has one function, and using the essence assists us in building that part of ourselves.
Reasonable statement.
Strengthening that part of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, it's first of all, from my perspective, mankind on this planet has lived in survival most of the history of our being here. Right now we have the real luxury of being able to do something other than just try to keep the wolf or the bear out of the cave. And we have the opportunity to examine and to inquire into higher and more useful aspects of being human. Mm-hmm. So flower essences then start to have a great use when you switch from survival into actually living a more exciting, fulfilling life on other levels.
So how would one know what flower essence to take? Would they come to you as a practitioner and you could support them in finding out exactly the one that would help them get back into balance?
That's what I prefer to, that's what I like to do. I make over 100 different flower essences. I also have an inventory of over 2,000 other essences from all over the planet. So I have an amazingly wide palette of essences that come at different human conditions from all over the block. So I also, somehow this just developed that in being sensitive to the plants and the flowers and making flower essences for over 15 years, my sensitivity to human beings has also increased. So I have the ability to be able to intuitively tap into a person's energy and determine which flower essences are the best for them. So that's my preference. Over the years of doing this, that's really what I personally can add beyond a person's ability to read a book and read what the definitions are.
Right.
I can take it to another level.
Oh, that's so great. Now, you've made your own essences, and I know a little from reading your book that you have a very special way that you make the essences, or a place that you make the essences. Can you tell us a little bit about your special way and technique?
Well, the way I do it at this time, and it hasn't been the way I've done it completely all of the time, but I live in a place that used to be the home of the priests or kahunas in a particular area, and they had a heiau, but it wasn't really a heiau, but it was a place like a heiau where spiritual practices would take place. This is right outside of my home, and I reactivated that into a 33-foot diameter circle and did a lot of other things to it as well. But basically what I've done is created an area, or recreated an area, that significantly amplifies the energy of what goes on inside of that area.